Again, thank you for everyone here for the invite, for having me. So my talk will be on the history of victimology and what it would mean for transitional justice. I'm going to share my screen now with for my PowerPoint for people that are interested in this. Let me just, so basically, it's just open. Can everyone see my screen? Is everything cool?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
All right, so my title of what you guys said was Victimology, the History of an Evolving Science and its Implications for Transitional Justice. So now we first have to ask ourselves, what is victimology? So let's just look at the word. Victima comes from the Latin language and logos is from Greek. Victima, we can all think what that means. Victim, the base word for victim, and logos means a study. So victimology, the word victimology literally means the theoretical abstract study about victims. But there's a problem. What's the problem? The word only states that victimology denotes the scientific study of the victim. It does not state what type of victims we are studying, nor does it address how the study of the victims came into reality. Now, we have to remember, especially when I later talk about transitional justice and the development of criminal justice and the development of victimology, that we have to remember that all science and scientific thinking is nothing more than a specific construction of social reality. Scientific thoughts and paradigms determine realities and... Okay.
Mohit, please off your mic.
So what shaped victimology? Well, we have something called the golden age of the victim, according to Schaeffer. So what is this golden age? This is a time during human development where victims were to be seen to play a leading role in the resolution of crime and conflict and criminal matters. There were schemes available for victims and the victims' families, in the case of death or whatever, to receive payments or redress. For example, in Germany or the Germanic areas, you had something called Werkgeld. In Ireland, in those societies, you had Erfina, the Welsh had Galanas, Japan, modern criminal justice system had a system of how to deal with victims. The Indonesians had previous ways of doing things. And then Africa, you guys had Professor Peacock on before, and Africa, we talked about Ubuntu, the I exist through you type of ideology or view. So all of this existed, but the more people became societies, one person wants to be a leader, and because of that, the state power grew and it replaced the victim. So as the state became more powerful, the influence of the victim on the society became less and less. It was more focused on the state than on the victim itself. And it took a couple of centuries, I mean, for the victim to become a focus of the state again. If we look at who developed our modern criminal justice system, it's Cesare Beccaria. Now, if you read the original Cesare Beccaria, according to Kirchhoff, you can find a clear engagement on the side of the victims, the powerless. He says, however, Beccaria is a precursor to victimology. I argue Beccaria is probably the first victimologist we've ever had. The whole idea why he designed the criminal justice system as we have it now was because of state abusing people. And this state abuse led to victims. So his whole idea was to protect these victims of state abuse by developing a criminal justice system where you have to face your accuser, where you are assumed innocent until proven guilty. You know, so this was all part of Beccaria's idea because of what was happening during that time. But now, because of this debate, we have to talk about who was the first victimologist. I say it was Beccaria. Then you have people that argue it's Benjamin Mendelssohn, and we'll get to him a little bit later, because in 1947, he published stuff regarding victimology. Frederick Werntham, who's a psychologist, used the term victimology. And Anuja would like this. He was a forensic psychologist as well, a forensic psychiatrist. Used the term already in the 1913s. And then we have Hans von Hentech, who is seen as accepted as the father of scientific victimology and founder of one of the branches of victimology. So now I talked about von Hentech and Mendelssohn. Why? Because the complexity of the question, who is the victim? That is a question. That is such a complex question. So because of this complex question, three branches developed in what we now call the science of victimology. You have the branch that's special victimology. Then you have general victimology. And then you have the most recent branch, which is victimology of human rights violations, including crime. And here's the little thing. So victimology is a science, and you have the three branches underneath it. So special victimology was developed by Hans von Hentech. What's the basic core principle of this? Any victimological exploration and research should be done under the auspices of criminology. So all special victimological research focus only on victims of crime. That is a problem. Why? Why is this such a problem? Because crime is a definition, right? You can have victimization before it becomes a crime. So it's extremely restrictive, and it makes the study of any other victim that might not be a current crime victim superfluous. We don't care about them. Throw them out. As long as you're not a victim of crime, we don't look at you, we don't study you. We don't give you intervention techniques. Now, general victimology was developed by Mendelssohn. Now, we will go from the one extreme to the other extreme. Mendelssohn said we should focus on all victims, their suffering, on their treatment. So he suggested victimological clinics. It's a very broad scope. So you have the victim of criminals, you have the victim of yourself, you have the victim of the social environment, the victim of technology, and then the victim of the natural environment. Now, that is very, very broad. I mean, this is like throw everyone, the bath and the dog into the mix. You know, it's a little bit too broad. Then the other criticism is, how do we define victimization, right? Victimization is an act that's an invasion into yourself that leads to either psychological, emotional, physical, or financial harm. Now, the problem with the victim of oneself is, how do you invade yourself? How do you victimize yourself? And then the victim of the natural environment that he included here is, especially for South-South colleagues, how do you prevent a natural disaster like a tsunami? Or how do you prevent a typhoon or the monsoon or floods? That type of victims of a natural environment should not come here. It should come towards the other definition, the other branch of looking at victims, which is my segue into victimology of human rights violations, including crime. This was developed by Elias Neumann Saparovich all the guys that looked at human rights violations, and that victimology should actually look at that, which is actually a better idea. Why? Well, let's first look at what is a human rights violation. It's an abuse of people in a way that it abuses any fundamental human rights. It's a term used when a government or a national or international institution violates national or international law to protect human rights. Now, fundamental human rights are violated when, and here I have a whole lot of list of that. Now, to continue, victimology of human rights violations, including crime. Now, crime is a violation of Article 3 of the United Nations Charter on Human Rights. What is that? That is life, liberty, or security. So we can include crime there. And we have all the other human rights that still can be violated. Now, this definition is not as broad as general and not as restrictive as special. It's the most comprehensive definitions we can use when we look at victims, or whether it's victims of crime or victims of a form of victimization that's not yet a crime, according to legal statutes. It includes non-crime victims, and it's grounded in national and international jurisprudence. Now, please note that even though these three definitions differ in their definition of who's a victim, all three branches are interested in the process of becoming a victim, right? So look at institutional, social, individual, and group conditions. All of them look at the reactions to victims and the reactions to victimization. So we can say a meta-level definition of victimology is the scientific study of the victim of human rights violations, including crime, of victimization and reactions of both the victims and society. Now, everyone's going to go, Prof. Barkhuizen, what do you mean society reacts? Right? How does society react? Now, let's look at that. Now, we have to look at how society constructs its own reality. Now, we call that reality by consensus. So consensual reality is the only operative reality that people have. So what does that mean? So why construct our reality? We build a picture of our reality out of different information available. We do not invent this information. It is already there. Remember when I said science builds onto science? So this is the same with the construction of your own reality. It builds on previous things that happened. The information we use is collected in interaction with others, and the truths that are taught to us by family, friends, and society in general. There's a social definition of reality. Now, Mao says we have formal and informal consensual reality, and he only mentions media in passing. But remember, if you look at when Mao wrote his book, it was 1975. What media existed was 1 or 2, 3 TV channels and radio and newspapers. Whereas now we have satellite TV, we have social media, we have a constant barrage of media. So for my discussion, and every time I look at victims, we have to look at media as well. Why? So here's how I view it and how we should view when we look at studying victims. You have to look at the formal reality, the informal reality, and media, and how this influences people's reaction, victims' reaction. So formal consensual reality originates from persons or institutions generally considered as authorities, your parents, government, religious leaders, and I put experts there because you're having me here, so I'm putting myself just a little bit away, but it's basically whoever we see as experts. Then, for informal consensual reality, this is truths as found in folklore or myths and anecdotes of certain episodes. The belief that blood type or celestial bodies determine personality, racial prejudices, and urban myths. This is all part of the informal reality that influences how we view victims and how victims react to being viewed and how victims also reacts. And then you have our last part, media disseminates the information and ideas and therefore spreads consensual reality of all crime. Media sources include creative effects when reporting objective reality, playing certain types of mood music with certain stories, or blurring the face and the hands of an offender if he's on TV. And I don't know if your media in India is doing the same with COVID reporting. The music that they play is very like grabs your attention, you know, you focus, something's coming on regarding COVID. So this is the type of influence we have, or the media has on us. So now, conclude, all three forms of social reality influences both the macro and micro level of society. However, it should also be noted that these three forms of social reality are in a continuous loop, each one affecting the other. In other words, what happens in one sphere, dramatic music about COVID, influences positively or negatively the other two spheres. Dramatic music, people get afraid, people listen, people social distance, just to use the current situation as an example. So here's just how to visualize this. Then, all reality, whether it's social or physical, is a social product. It's constructed by people and groups to fit with their traditions and their interests. As researchers and as victimologists, we have to deal with different constructions of reality. So the different realities are created by the victims, by our social environment, and by the public concern. For example, family and work and education systems, the other individuals. The criminal justice system in itself creates its own reality. I will argue later that the criminal justice system is a closed circuit. It's completely closed. There's no point for the victim. They say that it's there for the victim, but it's not really. The victim is a piece of evidence. We need to break open this criminal justice system. And then the support systems. The theory of social construction of reality, which can define the reality and counter reality of society and the victim offender, appears to be ideally suited for this exploration of the victim, because a victimization doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a specific society at a specific time, at a specific space. And we should always have it in the back of our minds that there is an interplay between victim and offender, and that interplay happens in a society. So there is a little thing. So victimology as a science look at victims of human rights violations, including crime or victimization and reactions. Reactions that form part of the scientific discourse do not come into existence suddenly, and their influence on the general society is not limited. It is of paramount importance to not only study the victim and victimization, but also to look at which social processes and realities in society makes it easier for victimization to occur. Now I'm segueing into transitional justice. Now, what is transitional justice? It's rooted in accountability and redress for victims. It recognizes the dignity as citizens and as human beings. The recognition of dignity of individuals, the redress and acknowledgement of violations, and the aim to prevent them from happening again. It is the core ideas of victimology as a science given life, basically. It's the application of the pure scientific part of victimology to an applied version of victimology. So where do we usually find transitional justice systems? Usually in post-conflict societies. In South Africa, we had the TRC. We have in South American countries where we have similar TRCs, the the TRC, and then the Gakachwa courts up in Rwanda. Now, I also include post-colonial societies under transitional justice. Now, why? Now, first I'm going to ask you all, especially some of your criminal law students and criminal lawyers and defense lawyers, when you see a law, you have to ask yourself, is it just? Does this law actually bring justice? Think about all the criminal laws that you have in your country, things that are illegal. Ask yourself, does it bring justice? And who does it actually bring justice to? Does it bring justice to victims? Or is it just another form for control by the government? Who really benefits from this law? And then you should also ask yourself, what is the benefit of this law? If it doesn't benefit the victims that it's supposed to benefit, then who really benefits? We have to remember, especially in post-colonial societies like South Africa, like India, that even though Beccaria developed the CJS for the victims, what we got as a criminal justice system was imported by the colonialists. They enforced this idea of this is how a criminal justice should look. If you look at your courthouses, Lady Justice only has 2 scales, right? Ever wondered what those 2 scales are? One scale is for the accused, the one is for the state. It's always in balance between the offender, accused, or victimizer and the state on the other hand. There's no scale for the victim. There is no scale for the victim. It's always just about the offender and about the rights of the state. Nowhere, actually, in the current criminal justice system, is there equality with the victim. In certain criminal justice systems, the victim is just a piece of evidence. And that's wrong. I mean, we had systems before where the victim were equal, right? We're only looking at restoration or restorative justice as part of the formal criminal justice system now, only now. I mean, the idea of restorative justice is as old as human societies. Remember, I talked about Ghana, Africa with Ubuntu, Indonesia, and Japan, and all these places having this type of restoration of the victim. Pre-colonized societies, the focus were on the victim. We need to incorporate these indigenous knowledge systems into our own laws. But this is the most important thing, we still have our human rights ethos. Remember, we all are humans and we're all entitled to basic human rights. And we need to be open to discussions on changing the criminal justice system to be more victim-centered. The criminal justice system should move away from too much on the criminal, but more towards justice. We should throw out the C for criminal and replace it with community or communitarian justice. Not criminal, but communitarian justice. Or throw out the C completely. Just call it a justice system and ensure that there is justice for the victim and that the rights of the offender is not affected, that you still are innocent until proven guilty. And just for example, how you can do this, it's not that big of an idea. I mean, Germany has something called a Nebenklage system that they use in certain court cases where basically a victim can act as a side prosecutor, or they can hire for the criminal lawyers here, they can hire a criminal lawyer to represent them during the trial, which means the victim is given a voice. They can have their attorney ask questions. And what we found through international research, and a lot of victimologists will tell you the same, what we found, one of the key questions all victims want to know is a very true and simple, but it's a very impactful question. Why? Why did this happen to me? And why did you, meaning the victimizer, do this? So that question is so important. And that question should be allowed to be asked by the victims in the justice system, I argue, because it's so important for this question, for restoration, for healing, and also for the victimizer to consider his or her own action that led to the action that led to them being in the court itself or in the justice system itself. Thank you very much. That was my presentation. I'm open for questions later. I think it's now going to be my good friend Anuja hitting up now.
It was so good and always so nice to hear you, Jacker. It's so informative. And yes, really listening to you, there are a lot of questions which we really need to understand, that me being a lawyer and a social activist, how it is important for me to understand that when I'm standing in front of the judge or in front of the people, what am I talking about? What is my responsibility in front of everyone? So I would take this opportunity, and I'm thanking everyone who's there with me today and putting me on board. I really thank Cardo India for inviting me on this, and it is such a pleasure that Jeko was my co-panelist. Now, what I would like to present myself on is basically on because I'm very closer to victims, and as I have been an advocate to acid attack survivors, rape victims. I've also been an advocate to child protection rights. What has been important for me throughout was talking about justice. So over the period of time when I'm talking about justice, it is that justice and law, they were two different things. So over the period of time, I got to know that when you talk about justice and you talk about law, they're two different things. They're not together. So if you become an advocate, you're talking about a law, which is there, which is present, which can be enforceable in the court of law. But when you talk about justice, either it is a justice for an offender, or it is a justice for the state, as Jeko just said. What about victims? Now, when victimology in India was not very prevalent, we were always talking about crime, and we were talking about criminals. And criminals here, when we talk about criminals, we're talking about the accused, we're talking about the offenders. Here, Tihar jail was there. We were talking about open prisons. Here in Kiran Bedi, who was, she was a commissioner here some time back, and then she was the one who was taking care of things that, because a lot of offenders and or the convicts, they were not being treated well. So we were always focusing on the convicts. We were always focusing on them. And what mattered is that we lost somewhere the victims. Why we started bringing victimology in India because that became the really main problem. If I go in court and I want to talk about the victim, the female victim, because here this also matters a lot. Who is a victim? Is a victim is a male? Is a victim is a female? Or a victim is a child? How do we discriminate between a male, female, and a child victims? So what needs to be done? That first of all, the victim of crime should include all victims. And that is where, when we fail, when we talk about victims of crime, we are only bothered about a certain gender or a certain section or a certain community who becomes the victim, but we forget about all the other victims. What we need to realize and advocate and given an awareness is a victim is a bracket, and victim is a human right violation.
The microphone is unmuted.
Hi. I hope you're able
No, yeah,
to
go
hear
on,
me.
go on. There is some interruption. Yeah, you can go on.
Okay. So where I again putting a bit forward is that how victimology is really important in India. When we are talking about the victim rights, people forget that it is a human right. What they talk about is a male right, they talk about a female right, or they talk about child right. They don't talk about human rights. And that is why the problem arises. We are looking into restoration justice. Now we are trying to talk about, we're talking about restoration justice, we're talking about reformation, we're talking about many things where the offenders are being connected. But we forget that somewhere in between, there is a victim. What do we talk about a victim? Have we done any kind of a counseling session for a victim? Then how does a person or a victim of crime or a victim of state or a victim of power, how these people will get justice to themselves? How will this happen? What happens is we lose this whole strength. The compensation is not talked about. When we talk about acid attack survivors, for example, the law is there. My PIL, my public interest litigation, is there in the court, in the Supreme Court. But what happens is, when we are talking about compensation, we're talking about their rights, these victims, these people, they are beautiful people, they have to still go from north to south pole, or just attaining the same law which is still there and enforcing it. It is there in India and still they are not getting it because victims are not being taken up on a priority basis. The judges now have started picking up, like recently, if I would just say that there is in Delhi High Court, in just 30 minutes back, there was this, we're talking about Delhi rights. So here in Delhi High Court, just directed Delhi government to expedite the process of application claiming compensations for victims in Delhi rights. So now slowly, because we are advocating, victims has to be coming on that front foot, which was not being possible. The main thing which Greco also said about the litigation process, the victims are not being able to take up this litigation process because they don't know who their advocate is. Because a public prosecutor is talking from a state, and when they are talking from the state, how come the state will talk about a victim? Because a victim knows what has happened with him or her. State doesn't know. State will only fight for the right, and the right is of the victim to understand also what is happening with the person. They don't even know. They don't even know what is the date it is there, who is what at then what is the order of the judge? What happens is only the trial is going on. The victim doesn't know anything about the trial. The victim is kept in dark. If victim has a money, the victim can take it up its own legal advisor. But how many people have this kind of privilege? Even if in our constitution, in our DPS, in directive state policy, we have this that they get legal aid, but public prosecutors are busy by themselves. How many victims they can cover?
Run.
Yeah, there is.
I think we have lost our ma'am's connection.
Yes,
Pranjal, can you get back? Let me tell something about the speaker to the attendees here. So this was our second speaker. She is Miss Anuja Kapoor, and she's a renowned criminal psychologist. She's also an advocate and practices at Supreme Court, High Court, and trial courts, and also has served as honorary special police officer in New Delhi. She is the founder of Nirbhaya Ek Shakti, a center for assistance for sexual rape survivors. It provides assistance to victims in the form of counseling, legal aid, vocational courses, and rehabilitation. She was recently facilitated by International Association of Research and Development Organization for her work in the field of Indian criminal psychology. She is the recipient of a number of awards, for instance, Exceptional Women of Excellence by Women Economic Forum.
Hi, I'm back. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is some problem with signals here. This is when we talk about we are a victim of signals also. See?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. So who talks about it? Because the government is so busy. The government is busy in all the other stuffs. They don't even, they want to give, like this is what is happening. When they want to give you something, they give you an app which can be worked upon, and then the signals are not working. How can we just talk to, or how can you talk about things to the people around? So when I was just saying that, am I audible and being seen to everyone?
Ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. So I'm saying that when we go to the court, or when I'm talking to a person who is a victim of a particular process, the first thing which they want is how can we take that process of justice, criminal justice system, and how can it be easy? How quickly
Ma'am, I think your
get...
camera is off.
Sorry?
I think your camera is off.
My camera is off. Can you see me now?
Pranjal, can you please assist ma'am?
Yeah, I sent the request to start the video. Can you just accept that?
Till we get ma'am back on, let me introduce our first speaker to you. Tell you something about him. So for the audience, let me tell you something about our today's first speaker, Professor Dr. Jaco Berkhuizen. Sir is currently head of the department and associate professor in the Department of Criminology and Criminal Justice at the University of Limpopo, South Africa. Previously, he was department head at the University of Fort Hare. Professor Berkhuizen has written extensively about victimology, sexual offenses, and serial killers. He is the recipient of prestigious MEX scholarship from the government of Japan and serves regularly on scientific committees and boards. He is also the president of Criminological Society of South Africa, abbreviated as CRIMSA, and his current research interests are victim rights, to be precise, victim rights in South Africa, human trafficking, serial murder, sexual victimization, sex worker victimization, and the effects of vehicle hijacking has on victims. He has published in journals and chapters in books in South Africa, India, Japan, and North America, and has delivered papers in North America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. I think ma'am is still not here. So let me tell our audience about our panelists today. So in our panelists, we have you obviously have heard from him and continuous from the ma'am. So Professor Dr. Jacob Berghuizen, he is the president of CRIMSA and he's joining us from South Africa. Ms. Anuja Kapoor, she's a criminal psychologist and advocate joining us from New Delhi. We also have an expert panelist today, Dr. Shubhra Sanyal ma'am, former senior reader at National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science, New Delhi. Also joining our panelists are our honorary board members of CRDO India, Professor Dr. K.B. Asthana, Dean in Law Department, CPJ College. Now, I would like to invite the honorable ma'am is here. Pranjal?
Yeah, she's not here right now. There is some technical issues.
So I think now I would like to invite the Honorable President of the CRDO India, Mr. Rishabh Srivastav. Mr. Rishabh Srivastav is an advocate and criminologist. Currently, sir is practicing law in the District Court and the High Court Bihar, and has a specialization in cases related to POCSO and juveniles. Sir has also done a special course on investigation of rape cases from Central Detective Training Institute, Kolkata. His various research papers have been published in national and international journals. So I'd like to call Mr. President of CRDO to say a few words till now and address our panelists. Sir, over to you. Please, Rishabh, please switch off, unmute your.
Thank you, Pratikshit. Thank you so much. On the behalf of CRDO India, I, Rishabh Srivastav, founder and national president, thank you everyone for joining us and for being a part of today's webinar. I welcome our special guest speakers for today's webinar, Professor Dr. Jacob Berghuizen. He is the president of Criminological Society of Africa. Welcome, sir, for joining us. And Mrs. Anuja Kapoor. She is an advocate, criminal psychologist, and social activist. She is also a founder of NGO, that is Nirbhaya Ek Shakti, working for victim assistance. Thank you, sir and ma'am, for joining us and for being a distinguished speaker for today's webinar. I again welcome our expert panelist, Dr. Shubhra Sanyal ma'am. She is a professor and former senior reader of National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science, New Delhi. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us. I again welcome our member of advisory board, Professor Dr. K.B. Asthana, sir. He is the Dean of CPJ College of Higher Studies and School of Law, affiliated to IP University, New Delhi. Thank you, sir, for joining us and for being stand with us always. Thank you, sir. The CRDO India is grateful and thankful for your kind support and appreciation.
I'm always available for you all. And on behalf of CRDO, I must welcome all the panelists. And yes, definitely this program is a very good program, and you are focusing on many topics. I have seen that there is, yes, definitely the young lawyer and young this CRDO, this fraternity, definitely you will go to the some maximum strength where the on the topic of victimology and this criminology, definitely this new topic will emerge as a very good topic. Thank you, Vacho, and continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your words. Pranjal, is ma'am back with us?
No, there is technical glitch from her side.
So we'll be moving forward to Dr. Shubhra Sanyal, ma'am. Now I request our today's expert panelist, Dr. Shubhra Sanyal, madam, who is a professor and former senior reader at National Institute of Criminology and Forensic Science, New Delhi. Madam is also an independent researcher And Madam's area of expertise are terrorism and human rights. And she is also working in victim assistance. Madam has also worked on impact of institutional work on the rehabilitation of prisoners and role therein of voluntary service. Today, Ma'am would be sharing her views on victimology, the history of an evolving science, and its implication for transitional justice. Now, I request Madam to kindly bless us with her words.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yeah. Now, I thank you for your introduction. I like it.
Yeah, hi.
What I want to say you.
Yeah.
I want to reflect to you. See, I heard Madam Anuja to a certain extent.
Yeah,
I
hi.
think
So
you're-
I'm so sorry. Can I, so am I back?
Sorry,
I'm speaking now at the moment. Yeah.
Ma'am, can we let Anuja ma'am to finish first?
Okay, then stop my this thing. Okay.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Anuja ma'am, you can start.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't know. This is the problem which we face, usually whenever we are there on sessions, and we can't help it. Sometimes things just can't help it.
Okay, ma'am. We can move forward.
Yeah. So and I was just like my just point which I was trying to put up is that it is really important in this criminal justice system that we just not only talk about the offenders or the convicts, what we need to talk about is a victim. And the victim needs to be taken on the prior seat, on the first seat, so that the victim should know the process of the criminal justice system, what's happening. The victim does not know what is happening around, and it goes to a secondary victimization. And in secondary victimizations, the FIRs are not being done. The harassment which they face, which comes forward, is they are being questioned again and again. And after that, there are areas which, even if we have video conferencing, even if now there are many things which have been set up, we are been talking about it, but it is a longer way for the victims to come back and rehabilitate in the same society where they have been a victim to. And second point which I want to put is that when we're talking about human rights has to be a male right, a female right, a children right, that needs to be involving in it. But what sadly happens is we try to differentiate between the rights, and what happens in the end, we are fighting for human right, and sometimes we just don't talk about either a woman right, or we don't talk about the men right. Constitutional rights, when we're talking about the legal rights, the fundamental rights, when we talk about, in somehow again in this we forget about victims. We are either talking about the government, we are either talking about the convicts, we're either talking about the other things around, we again forget victims. So what a victim requires, suppose if I am a victim of crime, and that is what, when they come to me and when they talk about, is they need a counseling. They need to understand what is going on in their minds and how to share about it. They want every day the person should be there with them, at least to tell them and explain that person that everything is all right and you will get justice. Even if it is a bit late, but you will get it. What happens is we are more concerned about the convicts or the offenders, which when they come out from the jail system, how can we put them back into society? We forget how the victims are going to come back into the society. Now, when we're looking into, as I talked about acid attack survivors, they don't have a job. Has the government even thought about it, or anybody thought about it? How will they survive their bread and butter? Who is going to provide them with the food? So there, when some victims have been there, and what is victimology? Victimology is understanding the pain of a victim. And this is where we are not being able to do it. If we want restorative justice in some places, it needs to collaborate again, because why we brought it? Because maybe it can help the victims. That is why restorative justice we are talking about. We're trying to bring restorative justice in domestic violence. We're trying to bring restorative justice in Children abuse, in child abuse, because here the child doesn't want to leave the parents. What happens is people are more concerned about what happens with the crime and to forget the person who has happened the crime with that person. So they just talk about the crime. They would like to penalize the criminal. They would like to penalize, but then on the same foot, they're trying to penalize the victim also. This can't happen. You can't penalize and make a statement against a victim. We need to be very, very sensitive. A victim law-centric law should be taken up forward. Not only compensation. Compensation, if some rape has happened, a compensation can't help a person to compensate a rape. That doesn't happen. Here we do a compromise. What happens is when we're doing a compromise, you're attacking the dignity of a person. And that really comes up. How can you attack the dignity of a person? This is where victim is talking about. Victim wants that you should talk about me in the court. You should talk about me in the society. You should talk about what I want, not what the government wants, not what the criminal justice system wants, not what the offender wants. What I want is how I can survive from now on. How can you restore my dignity back? How can the person sitting right next to me do not look at me with shameful, with insensitivity? So this is not required. How can things can be talked about? What are the legal systems can help you more in this? Like we're talking about high courts, Supreme Court have been started talking about, they are trying to bring what we're talking about, transitional justice. They are trying to talk about things around, but it is a longer way. It is a longer way. Murthy Saab has also talked about that you have seen in Kashmir, you have seen in these areas, the victim of crime in Kashmir. Look, you want to understand crime and you want to understand victimology, go to Kashmir and understand. But what are they feeling? You know, there is no justice. There is no law. Everything is on the sideline. Every political person is coming up and talking about their rights. So it is about a political agenda. It is about a political agenda. A child is born there, and minute they just see the armed forces, they see people around. So the people of Kashmir have seen security force and they have just seen the armed force. They have not seen what the normal life is. For them, the new normal would be what we are living. So just making a constitution or making things around is very difficult. When we are making a law, we need to understand that take the expertise of a victim too. Bring victim also on board when you're making a law. Ask a victim, what do you want? How many times do we ask a victim? Have we ever talked to a rape victim, apart from asking how many times you've been raped, how have the things been raped, have we talked to the victim? How will you earn your bread now? Who's going to take care of you? From now on, who's going to help you? Can somebody marry you? Are you going to become a daughter-in-law of somebody's house? No. So when we talk this to the rape victim, or we talk to an acid attack victim, when we talk about child, the child does not want to leave the mother and the father, even if the father is the perpetrator. What do? We snatch the child. No, we snatch the child. JJ Act happens, POXO happens. When we snatch things around, that is when we're talking about restorative justice. But right now, India needs to prepare itself. Can we forgive a criminal? No, we can't. Because this is where we are into a retributive theory. We do not understand what victim wants. If victim wants to compensate or victim wants to compromise, we are telling no, you should not. And there are times when there are some judgments which also come up like this. If you want to move on in life, get married to the perpetrator. That is not the law we are talking about. That is not the judgment we are talking about. So why victimology is born? Because victims have been really at the back stage. They were never being talked about in the front stage. So that is why you talk in Kenya, you talk in Nigeria, you talk in US. Look at the US right now, what's happening. They're talking about black lives important. Why black lives are important? Because, but one thing, why there is a need of bringing a violence whenever we are talking about victims. Why? Because they know that their mouth or their rights will be hampered, violated. Because if we will not create a violence, we will not be seen. What does a victim want? A victim wants to be heard. This is what victim wants. Victim wants that that person's voice should be heard. So that is why he puts an advocate in front of him. That is why he asks about it. That is why, because that person can't come. That person does not have a knowledge. So why and how we can go beyond ourselves? How and in our constitution, how we can in that legality, how we can help a victim, how we can restore the dignity, how we can rehabilitate a victim back into the society, back into the same way, the way they were before. So for me, my argument is that what is it that India is lacking? Is it a sensitivity? Or is it just this, that we're just talking about law and we've forgotten justice? Thank you. I can't hear you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Now, I'd like to apologize, Dr. Professor Shubhra Sanyal, ma'am, to cut her in between. So now I'd like to call her to present and enlighten us. Ma'am, is it audible to you? Pranjal, can you please check on to Shubhra Sanyal, ma'am?
Yeah, she is online. She is in the list.
Sir and ma'am, we'll be getting back to question and answers after this session.
That's fine. I just want to say thank you, Anuja. I agree. Victimology is there to give voice to the victims. And the criminal justice system doesn't have justice. It's got a criminal justice, and victimology looks at justice. And thank you for your passionate speech there. I really loved it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So kind words. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for interpreting like so many times. I just vanished. I'm so sorry about that. And I'm sorry, Subra ma'am was speaking somehow and I just intervened on the wrong time. Subra ma'am, I'm so sorry. I don't know you, but I'm so sorry that I intervened when you were saying something. I would love to hear you if you are there around.
I request madam to kindly enlighten us with a word.
I'm here. Shall I start? You hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have heard Madam Anuja, but I couldn't hear Professor Jack. But I just wanted to highlight a few things. One is, can you hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what I want to say is I have worked at length on women prisoners way back in 74. I had spoken on this webinar last time also. And many of them were hidden victims. You were talking, ma'am, about criminals, the criminal justice system. There is a very important section of the criminal justice system that is the victim justice system, which often gets ignored. In the midst of women prisoners, I sat for 2 to 3 years, 4 years to do my PhD work. And I noticed that many of these women had not committed crime. They were framed in that criminal career. They were taken away from their families. They suffered silently, and the pains of imprisonment was immense. I had taken concrete measures at that time to get many of them released. But even after release, as a psychologist, and you will also agree that the pain remains in the subconscious and the unconscious mind. A person cannot lead a normal life, even no matter how much you try to rehabilitate her back into the society. That is one aspect I want to discuss. That is about the hidden victim. Second, I want to talk, and that is about the rape victims. Certain rape victims, they get highlighted by the media, like the Nirbhaya, like that person, like the Unnao case, like the Hyderabad case. These cases, they get highlighted by the media. Now the social reaction is so loud, so immense at that time, that Nirbhaya Trust, Nirbhaya Fund came up, and of course the criminals were hanged. But what happened to the Unnao case? Unnao case is an eyesore for every one of us. It's a slap on the society. The politician is still there inside the jail, and the girl who was running for justice was not given any security, and she got killed in the mid-road. She died by getting burned by those goons. Is this the society we are living in? If we fight for justice, then when is the justice given? Because you will agree, Madam Anuja, that justice delayed is justice denied. If I'm right.
Yes, very much, ma'am. Yes,
and
yes.
Another thing I want to say is this. I had written an article on minor rape victims, and that article was very well accepted in the International Journal of Criminal Justice System. These children, if we as social workers, as psychologists, as researchers, really do a decisive, a genuine, and a detrimental study, because I believe, so far, whatever research I've done, I used to sit in the middle and do research because I try to feel the pain. Minor rape victims, you mentioned POCSO case. When I was as a counselor sitting in observation home in Kingsway camp, there was a POCSO cell nearby. I used to sit there also. The girl doesn't know what is happening to her. She was coming with the mother. Mother was claiming that the father has raped her. Now listen to this case, please. The father was booked and arrested. The girl was sent back with the mother home. Later, I was told that the mother has left the girl and gone off with another man. The father in the meantime got released because he was framed. It was a false charge. So I asked the welfare officer, now in whose custody this girl stays? He said in the custody of that very man. I said, if he has raped her, he will rape her again. He said, no, ma'am, he had not raped her. It was a false charge given by the mother. She came to take the compensation from the POCSO cell. So there is use and misuse of these acts also, ma'am, you have to understand. Who is the victim? The child. Child doesn't know what is happening to her. She is getting raped. There's rapes, very many happening inside the house by their own father, even by grandfathers and uncles and senior people. These children don't know. And in my article says that if they are not being properly being intervened and treated and taken away from that particular situation, that pain looks like a life bomb inside. The girl, even after marriage, reaches an adulthood, she will not be able to have a normal conjugal life. She will have nocturnal dreams. She will have nightmares. These pains are so much that she deviates from a normal personality and she becomes, starts living an isolated and secluded life. So my focus is always on hidden victims. And these hidden victims, no one looks at. So apart from the judicial system, I try to emphasize that there should be awareness in the house. The family members should not boycott that girl. The family members should take the girl along and try to give her a new inspiration. The panchayat in the villages, the society in the cities, they should try to take the girl, make her feel belonged. And then, the thing is that here again, she may revive and come back. We talk of rehabilitation. I'm trying to develop a rehabilitation model also, but I know very well, inwardly, that until and unless the man, the woman, the children, they don't feel belong. They don't feel emotionally attached. No rehabilitation will work. No rehabilitation restoration will work. We have to understand their psyche. Because when the psyche gets disturbed, even in a normal person, when the psyche gets disturbed, we do not behave in a normal manner. We behave differently. Then when such a thing happens to a person, and particularly of a minor, who doesn't know what has happened to her, but she feels it. She feels that people are looking at her with disgust. She is not allowed to go to school. She is not feeling secure when moving outside on the road. And tell me, ma'am, what type of life will she lead the whole span of time? So judicial system, as you talk of compensation, of course, there is no compensation here. And when compensation you have for rail accidents, road accidents, traffic accidents, and other natural calamities, things. But for these such incidences as rape and all, no compensation should be welcomed and no compensation is there. But justice should come immediately. Like in Nirbhaya case when 3 people were hanged. Similarly, this man who is there inside the jail, because he was an MLA, MP, VIP, he should have been hanged. That would have been, you know, when that Hyderabad incident occurred, ma'am, if you remember, all of you, police took the law in their hand and they shot the criminals. It was a uproar in the judicial system that you're taking the law in your hand. But justice was immediately given. I'm wrong to say that. But justice was given to that girl who was not really died. She was killed and she was burned to death. What wrong she had done? Tell me. She never knew that in the morning of that day, when she will be coming back home, the 3 culprits will rape her, kill her, murder her, and burn and dispose of her body. So there, as a psychologist, even as a senior government servant from Home Ministry, I will say salute to those police who have given justice to this girl. So my thing, I can stop here because I think I have expressed my things. We shall not depend only the awareness, total awareness should be there. Not only for the criminal justice system, because judges are also human beings. They also have a family behind. Police also have a family, we all. But we should, as one go, we should go into the hidden victims. We should try to identify them and try to make a psychological analysis and assessment and try to mitigate the grievances with whatever ways we can. That's all I'll say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening us. You've been truly a pillar of support to us. You've been with us in our various webinars. Now, the session is open for question and answer. I again request the participants to kindly tag the name of speakers with your questions. Sir, the first question is to you, and it's from Tarun Chauhan. He's a student and he's asking, I would like to put up a question. Are crime prevention projects with a victim focus eligible for funding?
Thank you. It's a very interesting question. I have a counter question. Why not? I don't know how India works, but any project in crime prevention, whether your focus is on crime as the end objective or the victim, should either way get funding. I don't think anyone would deny any research project on crime prevention any funding, even if the focus is on the victim. In fact, we would hope that because the focus is on victims, that gets funding. I mean, this is really an important question, but yes, I would think so. It would get funding. I think, Anuja, you would also know maybe a little bit more about your system, but I assume research projects with victim focus, ecological focus do get funded, or there is funding available.
Yeah, there Yeah, the funding is available as I've closely also been working with National Law University, Dwarka. I think they are also, and there is Indian criminology, this is also, society is also there. Researchers are definitely welcome. And definitely they get a prize award also. So when the researchers bring up there, they get awards, they get prize awards. But the problem is, how does the government pick up those researchers? That is a problem, because are the researchers being taken up by the government for the right use? That is not being done. So even like I have been so vocal about things, we speak about it, but how much is being taken into the system? Because we are the system. How much is being taken into the system? Even if we have researchers, but then it is only happens when the hue and cry happen, or a big crime comes up, or there is something which is really makes a lot of matter. Then there is the time when the researchers are being brought up, or they've been asked, or a commission has been set up, and then we talk about it. But sadly, children, they have brought up various researchers are there on panels, because that is how. And when you talk about statistics also, if we really talk about statistics, I'm sorry to put, but like I rely statistics outside India, the crimes and all, I can't rely the same here in India, because our statistics vary. And this is something is a little problem with us, because we do not understand the real statistics. Because there are hidden statistics, there are seen statistics, and the statistics which are to be shown. Like if we talk about the research which is just happening in Delhi, suppose we talk about COVID right now, and we talk about how many people have been tested positive. For that, you need to do a research, you have to go and do the test kit. But if you don't want to do it because you don't want to become that, happy to. I don't want to become that. So what happens is states get very insecure if they give a statistics out. Why? Because then we will taboo them up that you have become a rape capital or a capital of crime. So what happens is they believe that if the statistics are being shown up, it means that the particular police is not working well, or a criminal justice system is not working well, there are things around, that is why the state is not working well. So, you know, people need to understand that if you have a statistics which is coming up, believe me it is good sign. Why? Because people are reporting. And when people start reporting, it means that they are believing in the system. Eradicating it, stopping it, forcing it will not affect, will not help. What happens is victims commit suicide, they do not get justice, they are secondary victimized, second rape in sometimes when the people who are behind bars, when they come on parole, the same crime is being committed. So what is required is when we're talking about research, this research which is there on the table, which are being taken up on the award basis, should also be taken up by the government and should be improvised in the law and should be taken up accordingly. Because this is how the children also come up. Like a criminologist, what can a criminologist do? Criminologist can become a lecturer, can become a professor, can become a part of this, and they do a lot of research. What else do they do? But if the government takes the help of these criminologists and psychologists and they bring them on board, how many people do you see in Rajya Sabha, in our parliament, who is a criminologist? How do you make law without talking to these people? How do you make law? How are we allowed to talk to the criminals to understand their perspective? When you make law, how do you make a law without talking to them? Criminological psychologists outside India are the ones who go and talk to the inmates. And they take out the problems which they are facing on why and how they are doing this kind of a heinous crime. What can be talked about? That is the law you need, not the law which a people-centric law. We don't need people-centric laws. We need laws where criminals can be reformed. They can be reformed or not. That is, the mapping can be taken up. Their history should be taken up. Their gender system should be taken up. Like genetics could be taken up. Behavioral, prefrontal cortex, that should be mapped up. Does how much is the activity which is going on? Are they hot-blooded criminals, cold-blooded criminals? Can they be reformed? They cannot be reformed. What kind of a personality they are? Are we studying criminals? How do you think the criminals will stop? We need to understand criminals by their perspective. In the same way, if you want to understand a criminal, understand the victims. Go and touch criminals through victim perspective. That is what I think Jaco is also taken up into it, that if we do victim profiling and we understand the victims they are choosing, that is the way we can understand and profile a criminal. We have to undergo and we have to understand why a particular criminal has chosen a particular kind of a victim. It cannot only be random. So this is the way it should be mapped up. We are going in a different direction. We are going with the society. We are actually not looking into why and how a crime can be not getting into recidivism, and it can be lowered down, or it can be minimized down. This is how your research can be helpful. But nobody takes it up. It's just been awarded. People get awards. Things can be talked about, but not on the. This is what I know till now.
If I may, if I just can jump in here. Me and Anuja got talked about this a lot, and it's true what she says about to understand the victim. Remember, there's this interplay between victim and offender. Like I also said in my presentation, a victimization doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a certain society at a certain time between two people. And there's this interaction. Now, usually we have a psychological drama when me and you interact. It's a psychological drama. I say something, you say something. But during a victimization, this psychological drama turns into a psychological horror, either from the side of the victim or it becomes a horror on the side of the criminal. So this interaction, this is also that we look at what causes a victimization. But I love that we talk about we need to give victims a voice. And what I see a lot of commonality between what's going on in my country and what's going on in India about the distrust in official government statistics is that compensation, it's a law, but no one does it. You know, that you have all these types of victims and there's no psychological intervention, there's no emotional intervention. And this is something that I see is common between South-South, between previously colonized countries, is we have these problems, we all have it, and we sit in our own countries and think we only alone deal with it. And I think this is such an important platform that we talk now, is like there is so much commonality and so many common problems and common types of solutions that we can share. So I really like this idea of sharing more, and we need to talk more and see what works in South Africa might work in India. What working in India we can adjust to work in South Africa. But I love this discussion. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks,
The next question is again directed to Anuja ma'am, and it's from Yatika Sharma, and she's asking about the evolution of victimology in India and the main grounds and theories behind the same. I think it's a bit a long question, but
yeah.
In a brief.
So actually, victimology in India is still in the process. It is still not come up. See, whenever we talk about, you must have seen, whenever we talk about victims, we are really talking about in a shameful manner, as if they were the ones who let this crime happen. Okay, so this is the problem where we are actually targeting a victim, but understanding a victim is what we require. So victimology is a big word, for India, it needs to be simplified. It's just this, that we need to bring a lot of understanding between the offender and the victim. As Jacko had said, there are some areas where a closure can be given, but there are some areas where a closure cannot be given. Like when in a rape situation, if a victim comes in front of the offender, she would always wanted to ask, why did you rape me? Even if it is from a father, even if it is from the person who is at home, the person always wants to know, why did you choose me? And because of this only, they go to the court. You want to ask this question. Why did you choose me? What did I do to you? So we have to figure it out. When we're talking on theories, there are many theories which I can, like right now we cannot just get into this. But what we are really talking about is, in India, if we look at the victims and try to understand their psychology, why and how they want their space. They are not asking offenders not to be taken up. They're not asking the criminal justice system to just talk about offenders. They are talking me to also be heard. They want that what's the problem, what I am facing, please come and ask me also. Don't ask the state to stand in front of me. Okay? What happens is it takes away my right. How does a state know how I was being tribalized, harassed, how I was being abused? So in India, what we need to talk about is, in a certain areas, when we talk about mediation, in domestic violence, we try to go for a mediation. We try to talk it out because here the family is involved. We try to figure it out. We try to think it out. But as ma'am also says that she was talking about a child who was being raped by the father, and where the child was being raped by the father and the child does not know where to go. Because the mother evolved with the another man and the father is in the jail and the girl is there. So it is not only this, we do not prioritize only the government into this. We also prioritize the society to also take care on this. We also prioritize the NGOs to come in forward. But now we also have to also safeguard that the children who are going into particular NGOs, are they the ones they can safeguard their interest? So it is just this, that just making it up something cannot happen. If you want a particular stream to happen, a particular function needs to be brought up in a system. And a system does not only start with criminal justice system, no. It starts with each one of us. It starts with the person who is there at the home, and how secure can you make the things around? And how can you be heard out? Because the child who is there now coming back does not have a home. How can you secure a child and rehabilitate that child back so that the child does not become a criminal? This is again on a personality of the person. How many girls who are being raped has become a criminal? Tell me. So this is a personality where it has to be checked upon. A criminologist, a psychologist, an advocate, all the NGOs, the counselors, they all have to come forward. And because we are again and again talking about the offenders, victims feel left out. So in India, laws are being coming up, court has become sensitive, they are talking about victims' rights, they are trying to rehabilitate a victim, but it is still on a very lower level. As ma'am says, sometimes people use law to misuse law. And this creates a havoc, because when we use a law to misuse law, the people who really needs the, who are really a victim of crime are being left out. Then again, a question which needs to be asked to those people who are using or misusing law, what is the reason they are misusing the law? Nobody asked this question to them. Why are they misusing the law? Because they did not get the justice at the first level. What they do is they understood that if you misuse a law, you will get justice. And a justice is taken up, as we have again seen, you shoot a person, you do a encounter, but do you really believe that shooting or encountering a person is a law? We need to make that person understand through its own course, like an egg. If in an egg yolk, if the bird egg, you hatch the egg, the process of life is hampered. What is required is that process needs to be taken up. And this is where we are not having those systems in our society who could give a justice and not a law to a victim.
I'll direct the next question to Sanyal ma'am. It's been asked by Anuj Gehlot, and he's asking, what according to ma'am are the three most important or sudden implicated changes that must be brought in the legal system regarding rape cases and acid attacks?
Can you repeat the questions once again?
Yes, ma'am. It's what according to ma'am are the three most important or sudden implicated changes that must be brought in the legal system regarding rape cases and acid attacks?
Yeah. What I want to say is this, that in the rape cases particularly, the first and foremost thing is the girl who goes to lodge an FIR, right? We start from the police. The police should also be that much equipped with communication skill and with moment to accept the FIR, to note the problems of the child, not to ask such questions, awkward questions, that the girl hesitates to lodge an FIR, come to the police station. This is often happening. As a result, you will find the rape cases that Madam was saying, the statistics, all statistics are not true, I agree, because people are not coming forth to, put in their cases. Therefore, when we talk about the judicial system, the criminal justice system, I, for one, believe that criminal justice system should be in coordination with judiciary, police, and the correction. Police should be upright in taking the FIR, and police should hand it over to the judiciary. Judiciary should equally be, prompt to take the evidences given by police to handle the cases. And of course, the correctional system is there. Because the criminal justice system in totality, they work in fragmentation. Madam Anuja will agree with me. Now here, when you talk of rape cases, the rape victim, they should come up, they should lodge the complaint, they must fight the case, and security should be given by the system that the person gets a full, justice, legal aid, security. Doesn't happen as it happened in the Unnao case. So this is my one thing. And what second question? What is the second question? There was another beside
changes that must be brought on the legal system regarding acid attacks.
Acid attack. Yeah, in the case of acid attack, there again you find that many times what happens, the person who has thrown the acid is moving away. He moves away. Very rarely he gets arrested. The person who has become the victim, she goes in shelter, she goes in her shell. Of course, I have, there will be very few people who will be equally courageous that the lady who got the acid attack, she opened up a foundation. She was given, award. She went to America and she got the award. If people can recall, I met that girl. Her whole body was, face was absolutely, it was disfigured by the acid thrown. Now, these people, I think they should undergo life imprisonment because they have, totally ruined the life of a girl. So judicial system, I will say, the criminal justice system, the judicial system should make certain amendments. Time to time, amendments have to be made regarding the upcoming crimes that are coming in the country. And these amendments should be strict, particularly for these people, like I will say, the rape victims, the acid attack victims, and those who rape and murder, these people should give a sentencing very harsher than the normal criminal. That is my perception.
I'll ask Anuja ma'am to share her views upon this question.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Shobra ma'am. Very rightly put. And when we talk about imprisonment and when we talk about harsh punishments, it depends upon, does a criminal understands harsh punishment? For a person who has done something wrong, a punishment is enough. But to understand a punishment that he has done something wrong, the personality needs to be checked up. That can that person understand the punishment what it has been given to the person around? Because if the criminal does not understand the punishment what has been given to the perpetrator or a convict, there's no point of giving a punishment to the person. Now, when we're talking about lot of hue and cries on capital punishment, always, whenever we talk about capital punishment, it's always talked about as a death penalty. But we forget that capital punishment has two branches: death penalty and life imprisonment. So, but what is being talked about is, if death penalty is being given, as in India, death penalty is being given in RR cases. That is the rarest of the rarest case. Now, what is the problem which we are facing is that when RR case is coming up, people or the judges, it is a very big, very thin line of bringing what is the rarest of the rarest case. Because to find rarest of the rarest case among all the cases and then giving a death penalty, that is a big hassle. Giving a death penalty is also not a problem, but where the problem comes is its execution. So as ma'am says that harshest punishment is being given, but it should be given is good. You give a punishment, but is it being carried out? That is where the catch is. If you do not give a harsh punishment and is not being executed at the right time, then the punishment which is being given, if it is a death penalty also, it goes haywire. It has no meaning. It has nothing which can help the people around. So death penalty can be a deterrent only when it is being executed at the right time. It has been executed in the limitation period. But as we have seen in Nirbhaya's case, 7 years it took. 7 years. There was an open and shut case. But we brought, because in India, we believe in rule of law. We believe in supremacy of law. We believe in natural justice. So it was being given a lot of weightage to the convicts or to the convicts to give a lot of appeals in the court. But they forget, in the same system, we forgot that victim also has a right. Where should victim comes up? We have seen in all the process that now when there is a bail application, a victim or even a child should be given this intimation that there is a bail application which is coming up, and a victim can ask for the bail application. If it is being brought up or it is coming into an acquittal, the victim can intervene. How many victims know about it? Because they are being run by the state. So death penalty, even if, as we have seen, Shubhra ma'am, we have seen in recently when in child, in rape cases and POCSO laws, we just got a death penalty which started coming up. But we have seen tremendous rise in child rape case. So does it mean they're trying to show that death penalty does not matter to them? Even if we can do we are raping the child where there is a death penalty, it doesn't matter to them. What matters is the time period. What matters is the time frame. If you exclude that, that is what needs to be given. What I feel, curative petition review petition, pardon. When we are talking into the Supreme Court again takes up the whole, that should be shortened up. And there are some time when the ministry comes in between. The Home Minister pardons the particular person, or the everything is process has been done. Our president pardons it. It is not a joke, you know. What we and me are talking, we all are talking. We all become very emotional. We do talk about emotionally, but when the system comes up, it is a failure. Because it has only been directed for a convict. It is not for a victim. We forget there is a victim also on the line, and we only remember there is an offender or a convict is there. We forget that parallel to the offender, there is a victim also. So what is required is, when we are making a law, or when are we giving even a death penalty or a life imprisonment, any punishment is important. Any punishment can make up that deterrence if it has been executed at the right time, the right frame of mind, and the things are being done. Shubhra ma'am, this is what my contention is.
I want to add something here.
Yes,
I want to say one thing. You know, I had the opportunity of visiting all the prisons in this country, to the extent that even when I went to England, I visited Holloway prison, where women prisoners are being kept. But in India, it was my good luck that I could sit in the midst of prisoners for days together and understand their psyche. I want to say one thing here, that when you measure the personality profile of those criminals or offenders, as you put them, who have committed acid attacks, who have committed rape accompanied with murder, who have pre-planned murder with cool minds, they have not the normal personality profile. According to a criminal psychologist, they have high on psychoticism, or they are high on neuroticism. They are ones who do not have any sense of guilt. They do not believe in any type of friendship. They do not have any remorse. So rehabilitate them or to counsel them. I know that even now, after commission of the crime, when they are imprisoned, they are inside the jail, there is no regret on their face. When we talk of recidivism, the moment, you know, if you allow them to go out, they will commit the same crime. They become serial killers. So my contention is this, with the prison administration and with the criminal justice system, that when every moment when they are being arrested, booked, or even when they are, you know, they are suspects, not convicts, they must be put on some tests to identify the mental set, to identify the personality profile, and accordingly give them the sentencing policy. Because I'm not going for capital punishment, because capital punishment is not the solution. No way. But the point is this, even if you're giving them life imprisonment, they should stay away and they should be given some programs. Let them be there, but let them feel that they have destroyed a life of a person. That sort of thing should be done. Because unlike normal people who have committed provocated crime, accidental crime, emotional crimes, no crimes, they get easily rehabilitated, because there is one thing which I have studied. I have developed the criminal propensity scale, which is very much is used in this country and even outside. And I spoke in the earlier forum also. That scale measures, that is the baseline, which measures the rehabilitation model for the criminals who are prone to rehabilitation. But those who are high on psychoticism and neuroticism, who are faking, because psychoticism has one character, that is social desirability, faking, they should not be sent outside the jail. They should not be allowed to get any sort of parole, bail. They should stay inside and work. Let them feel it. Rehabilitation can be done inside the prison also. We can have, as Dr. Radhakant Saxena said last time, there can be a aftercare system where they can be kept. But let them feel. So there also the victim is getting her or his justice. This is what I'm trying to convey. because we cannot put all the criminals on the same platform. I think Madam Anuja, you'll agree with me here.
Yes, Jacko, you want to talk? So just a quick thing. Yes, Shubhra ma'am, I totally agree with you, because this is what I keep speaking about. This is what, as a criminal psychologist, I am putting up every time. We talk about dangerous personalities, and in dangerous personalities, we're talking about predator, paranoid, narcissist, emotionally unstable. So yes, for the people who cannot be reformed are those ones who are psychopaths. Psychopaths are the one who cannot be reformed, and they should not be let out of the prison. But that can only be done when a proper kind of a psychotic profiling can be done. This is where now India has to come up with the people who could ask the right questions, could make that interview. And yes, only the people who are psychopaths, because sociopaths can be reformed. They are hot-blooded, and they can be reformed because they are done with provocation, and that they are the ones who can come back into the society, and they can still be reformed. But psychopaths who are diplomatic, manipulative, charming, they cannot be reformed. So those are the ones should be behind the prisoner. So yes, ma'am, I totally agree with you on this. And death penalty or in a life imprisonment, any word is the thing which needs to be taken up. We need to divide these criminals into these categories.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, hi. So we all agree currently the criminal justice system is not working. We're all in agreement with that, right? We're all like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. We then need to be extremely careful if we're going to talk about death penalty, because the idea of giving the state the power to kill someone is completely wrong, because the criminal justice system is not working. And now it has this powerful weapon in its arsenal to kill people. I mean, if you look at what's going on in America, that how many people are on death row that are now being freed because of DNA, you know. So we should be very careful when we talk about putting someone to death. The idea that the state has this power should scare everyone. What we know out of research is the death penalty doesn't work. Life imprisonment works. It is cheaper actually to keep someone locked up in prison for their whole life than to actually put them to death. Because remember, you're putting someone to death, so they have to have all these chances to appeal and appeal and appeal, because you're taking someone's life away. I know the counter argument, people are going to say like, yeah, but they killed someone, they took someone else's life away. Yes, I know that, but we are better than the killers. We are better than the worst of our own devices. And we should remember that, especially when we talk about people that have mental problems. Anuja was referring to sociopaths and psychopaths and serial killers and serial rapists. My counter argument to this is keep them locked up. Keep them locked up and let's study them. Because the more we know about what caused these behavioral abnormalities, what caused this, is this a question of nurture? Is this a question of nature? If we can address this, can find out this is the reasons, then we can have intervention policies from childhood up and then lessen this type of crimes and criminals and victimization from it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that elaborate answer. So the next question is directed to you. It's from Dr. Swika Lama, sir. And it is, according to you, should a model which combines restorative justice and transitional justice as various concepts within them overlap each other, evolve as the best way for a better victim justice system?
Ooh, that's a very, 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 very good question.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yes, Yes. You know, I'm going to even take it further. We don't need the criminal justice system. We've all agreed currently it's not working. Why can't we just throw it out? Throw it out. Let's start from scratch. Let's actually look at everything that is working, take the best of everything from transitional justice, from restorative justice, from our indigenous knowledge systems, and build something better. And the moment that's built, we throw out criminal justice as we know it, and we go with that. I mean, why not? Why can't we combine this and have something better? Something that has human rights as its core, balances the rights of the state, balances the rights of the offender, but also balances the rights of the victim. And I throw it open to the young guys and gals sitting here. Why can't you guys design it? The information is there. Design it. Lobby for it. Go for it. I mean, one day I'm going to retire. One day Anuja's going to retire. You guys need to step up to the plate. It's up to you. The stuff is there. Use it as a puzzle. Figure it out. Come on. It's up to you guys. Bring us a new justice system. And that's my thing. Not a criminal justice system. Bring us a new justice system. An equitable justice system.
So I would like to just come in this, like Beko said that, yeah, we don't need criminal justice system, and we can, you know, build our future on restorative justice and transitional justice. Yeah, but I think, Beko, don't you think we should be needing a criminal justice system? Should also be there, because that will give you a sound proof of you know, understanding the crime, and recidivism can be stopped also, because criminal justice system it gives you a sense of a law which needs to be understood from the criminal perspective also. Criminal law is important. We do need transitional justice system. We do need that, but we can go into restorative but there has to be a proper kind of a channel, you see, because totally eradicating criminal justice system, everybody, you know, like a victim of rape or an acid will not be able to forget the offender. See, this can't happen. That's like you just ask the other person and you just say, okay, I'll forgive you. You forgive someone, but you don't forget someone. So that is where the criminal justice system comes. People believe in court. People believe in court because criminal justice system, not only the rape or a victim of crime, it is a victim of check bounce also cases. It's a property law also. It is where other laws are also being a part of it. So totally eradicating it would be a lot of havoc. So check on, so sorry, but
no, but see, this is I'm gonna throw again a devil's advocate. People want criminal justice because they are told to want criminal justice. People believe that they need laws. They believe they need more laws. If you read the book of, there's a book called Less Laws, More Order by a Canadian victimologist. I mean, we all believe, we are taught you need to follow the law. But I come from a country where the law in its whole concept was discriminatory. It put a certain race above any other race. You understand? So this is where I'm coming from is to say that, yes, there will be sanctions. In a new type of justice systems, there will be sanctions. There will be rules. But why should we call it criminal justice? My concept is, again, we're putting criminal in front of the justice, even when we're using the words criminal justice. We can just have a justice system, rules and regulations, yes. And when it comes to property law and whatever, but it's still just a justice system. It should be a justice system, not a criminal justice system, a justice system. Do we need the word law? Why can't we use a different word for making certain behaviors or action illegal? Regulations. Why should it always be from a specific viewpoint, from this criminal justice viewpoint? That's why my whole thing is, most societies there's no society, if your society grew over 1,000 years, like the thousands of years, like the Indian society did, there was forms of redress, retribution, restitution, and we need to go back into our own histories and see what we've done for victims, and maybe work on that, because the current criminal justice system that we have all over the world is Western. Is it really, really applicable to everyone? And if it is, can we not just make it a little bit more fitting for our own countries and our own social circumstances? I mean, with human rights as the core basis. Remember, the criminal justice system wasn't developed for human rights. Human rights only came later as part of the criminal justice system. As Beccaria designed the criminal justice system, was to protect the people from the state power, the kings, the queens, and the Catholic Church, from abusing their own subjects. That's actually where this whole idea comes from, is to protect the people. So why don't we go read Beccaria and read the situation where CJS happened or was enveloped, imagined, and look at our own countries or our own people's history of how did we deal with victimization before we were brought the current criminal justice system by guns and colonial masters. We had systems. We had systems. If we didn't have systems, then there would have not been societies before. There would be no reason to colonize a country and its people if there wasn't already people with ideas going on. It would just be an empty, big piece of land that people could move in. But that's not the history of what we have. We have places that have ideas, and we've forgotten these ideas. And my argument is, when it comes to developing a justice system, we have to go look back into our history. What did we do for victims before we had this formal criminal justice system? And if we can find the best of what we did there and take the best of what we currently have and combine it with human rights as the base foundation, I mean, then we're not going to complain anymore about criminal justice, because we all agree the current criminal justice system does not help offenders, and it sure as hell does not help the victims. So we need something new, and we should remember that we are socially imprinted to believe that the current social reality is the only reality that we have. If you go speak to a judge now and ask him, can we do restorative justice tomorrow in your court? What's he going to say, or she's going to say? No, why? The current system works. I've been trained for years and years. I know my profession. It's the best profession. Law, you know? So remember that. I'm not saying completely abolish everything. We need a base point. But we have to remember we can do better. Because currently, if we say the current criminal justice system is the best that we have, Lord have mercy on us all. Because it cannot be. It doesn't work. It's been proven. Criminal conviction rates go up. Everything goes up. Crime is up. Victim surveys show there are so many dark figure victims. So that means currently it's not working. And we need to rethink our idea of what is a criminal justice system. I say do away, first of all, with the word criminal, and just say we need a justice system. Thank you.
So Jacko, I agree with you on that, and beautifully as always, you take up the the stage. Uh, what I would like to put in this in with you in this situation is that criminal justice system was being formed because people did not understand the psychology behind the criminals. So they thought, because if you see the back when we talk about ancestral times, if someone does a wrong, it should be punished. They call it simple funda. They call it, that's the simple way it is. If somebody commits crime, it should be punished. But what happens is, now when we are started talking about this, these things should be taken up as a curriculum in schools from now on. You got it? Just you and me sitting here on panels. Pratishat is there, Shubhra ma'am is there. So what we need to do is, we need to bring, if we want this change needs to be aware. It has to be coming up from the lower to above. What we need to understand is that we don't need somewhere or the other, we are going into retributive theory. We are taking that thing up. But why we need a restoration? Why do we need a transitional? Because very rightly said, one of the questions is just my friend is also sitting here and is listening. He just said, Anuja, why do we need criminal justice system word? Why can't we then shift it to victim justice system? So in one way, you are saying that you are bringing justice to criminal. So that is why you're saying it is a criminal justice system. So you are bringing justice to a criminal. Why don't we make it into a victim justice system then? So as you just said, let's not put into criminal or let's not put into victim, let's put it into a justice system. But then we need to revise, because IPC, Indian Penal Code, has been done. We need to understand our whole constitution. We have to rephrase, because this is what the society is. If we cannot, and this is what the state and the government and the particular country should be doing it for its own citizens, is revising, amending for the well-being of the citizens. Why that even the criminal justice system is there? For the well-being. So that the people do not violate the laws, so that they get threatened with the challans which are happening, or they are threatened with the penalization which is happening, so that they can go behind the bars, or things are going to be there, they will not be treated, they will be away. So you are trying to coerce or threaten a certain individual not to commit a crime, not to be an omissioner, don't do an act. So yes, if what you and me are talking, and if as we have another panels, and we the people have an audience, if we believe in this, this cannot be a one-day program, and it cannot be a one-day thing. Not only researchers, it is about the education system should bring it up. Education, then the NGO system should also bring it up, because they also have to believe in this, because they also make it, the women's cells and the many other people who are believing in penalization of the criminals should also be understanding. Because if there is a criminal, there is a victim. If you want justice, then there should not be, because you cannot have a law and you cannot have a justice. Something needs to be brought up, because somewhere down the lane, we did not understand during the period of time, but now as we are evolving for the betterment of the well-being, so I think this, yes, this is a point, but then the government has to pick up this point. We have to take it up as a proposal. Then we will talk to the judges also. It is not an easy path. Do you think it's an easy path? You and me just talking out it? No, it is a very big path. It needs to be properly fundamentalized. It needs to be properly taken up. It needs to be properly given it to the ministries, the people to bring it up and talk about it. And what happens is, when these kind of things come in the open, politics are the one who play the political role. Because on this system, on this particular point, they start casting the votes and they become the new government. Understand the psychology of the people also around. How does the law is forming? Why and how? So it is a larger debate. We have to keep going. We have to make other people also understand why we can only talk about justice system. Why only?
Exactly. I just want to say yes. This is a larger debate, and it should be done by the people sitting here, but also the victims. Remember, we're here to give voice to the victims. And like you said, we need a justice system. And I fully agree with what you said, some of the points there as well. But the idea is to take it to the government. The government should actually listen, because who votes the government in? It's the people, right? If there's enough people that lobby for changes, then it will happen. But for that we need, like you said, education, the NGO sector, academics sitting here in front of me, and that's important. But what's important is we need to remember that we need to talk to and speak for the victims and give the victims a voice to speak for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Jaco, sir, you really gave us new goals and visions. The debate and the talk was very, a new perspective was shown to us and talked about and discussed. So moving on, the next question isn't directed to anyone particular. It's to all of the panelists and anyone who would like to answer it. It's about how can we provide justice for the intangible losses for the victim, such as emotional scars for the lifetime. Those are the things that we can just empathetic for, but what's the way of compensating them for as per victimology is concerned?
If I might jump in here, it depends on like, we have something called a road accident fund. I don't know if India has that as well, where depends on how much you damaged in an accident on the national road. There is certain criteria, and if it's certain criteria, it equals a certain payment to the victim of this road accident. And if you look at compensations around the compensation systems around the world, they have similar type of, if this is what happened, this is the payout. Payout what I mean by payout, it's not just money, it is the state takes care of your emotional therapy till you are healed. It could be financial compensation. Remember, restitution and compensation doesn't just mean money. It means to compensate for what you have lost, to restitute you for what you have lost, to restore you to the level of what you were before this victimization happened to you. So there is scales that people use and different compensation funds use to figure out how much compensation and how money, depending on the severity of the crime or the victimization. So it really depends on who runs and who's the board that decides the payout system and the compensation system.
Are we done? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Next question is from University of Limpopo. And the question is, what is it that is being done to ensure that victims are protected from secondary victimization?
If we talk about on this, that what can be ensured is how, first of all, we have to understand what is a secondary victimization, because people don't understand what is secondary victimization. Because they don't understand victimization, so they don't understand secondary victimization.
And in context of India, it's more necessary.
Yes, so we first have to understand that you're a victim of a crime or a victim of something. Victim means when you're bullied, when you are your rights are being misused and violated, and that is when in any walk and sphere of life, secondary victimization is when you are being victim to the authorities which are there to ensure that you are being helped. They are the ones who are giving you a secondary victimization, like police, like criminal justice system, the government. They are the ones who will secondary victimize you, and above all is the society. It's a way to look up at you. So what needs to be done is these kind of debates, seminars, webinars, in context in education, we do not keep quiet if something is coming wrong. NGOs, social activism should be on the higher priority. They should keep on putting up questions and answers and keep on talking, because the parents of the particular victim, or in any way the victim feels that I will not be able to get justice. So that is one major reason sometimes victims don't come forward and do not report the crime. And so that is how, because they believe that people will ask a lot of questions, like marital rape is still not been a crime. I have put it in PIL, in Supreme Court, it was being given to High Court, and after that High Court says it is a thing of a government. So what needs to be, because we need laws, we need willpower also to intervene also. So that is how it is. So, and one more, which I really have to wind this thing up very quickly. So if you have any other.
The last question for today will be, it's an open question, and it's regarding how can we help the victims in emergency cases?
Okay. If I could just, Jacko and Shubhra ma'am, if I could just quickly put this thing forward. How can
I come in? Can I come in?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
The thing is this, I'm hearing throughout. What I want to say is the victim immediately requires a support from the nearest and the dearest. That is the family. That is the friends. That is the very locality. Instead of, despising her, instead of thinking that she has got some problem, they should come together to say it's all right. And we will help you to overcome before the case moves to the criminal justice system. Because and I know, in every country, system takes its time to give the judgment. But in the meantime, what is required is the immediate people in the vicinity. And that is the parents, that is the members, brothers, sisters, who should take the person and give the support. And then, we come to the police, we move ahead. But first and foremost, the emotional support has to be given by the local of that place, by the family, and so that the girl or the boy, even in the sodomy case, anyway, the person can rise up and face the society. This is my perception. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we got to wind up quickly, and we apologize to the attendees that we can't take all of your questions as we have already exceeded our time. So before moving on to the vote of thanks, I'll ask the panelists to say a few words.
So who's speaking, Jacko? You speaking first? Okay.
Ladies first. Ladies first.
Let's not talk about ladies and gentlemen now. So I think we should be starting here. One of the panelists is speaking. Let's keep like this. So I thank you all for taking me on board and really talking about the need of an hour, the talk on criminal justice system, on transitional justice, and we talk about restorative justice. Me and Jacko have gone far and long. We've been talking about it, but just a talk would not help. What we require is the willpower. We need the eminent our politicians. We need our youth to come forward, and with their research, this thing should be taken up to the higher authorities. And there should be, as Shubhra ma'am said, and I have always believed in this, we need to analyze the criminals to give them the penalties which we are talking about. We need to understand the criminal justice system in the another way, in the much higher way, where we also respect the victims also, because here we are just looking on the one-sided panel. We need to understand the other position too. And whenever we are dealing with the international, because bringing in international forum in India means we are ready to understand the same problem in the larger perspective, and we are not alone. So it means that we are also trying to change ourselves, and this is where it is really important when, as ma'am says, the parents, the society, they are the first people, because the crime happens from the home. If we change, things change. But once we talk about we changing, we need to understand that changing does not mean that we are violating our constitution, legal and fundamental rights. We have to ensure that our rights also are being safeguarded. We safeguard the human rights too, and we move forward with such conviction, so that whenever we talk about victimology, we should be proud on that particular system. So I would say thank you to Paro, India, and Rishabh and Pratikshit, so for bringing me on board. And thanks, Jacob. It's amazing to sit with you. And Shubhra, ma'am, I've been sitting with you for the first time. It is so enlightening, and you are such a great personality. And I would never forget this session. I'm just thankful enough.
For myself, I just first want to thank everyone. Thank you to the CRDO and their team. I know I've been having email conversations and conversations over Facebook Messenger to set this up, especially Mr. Pragashit. Like, he was been contacting me constantly, making sure that I actually do this. And now I just have to thank you all for this. Thank you to the speakers, to Anuja, to ma'am, and to the students from South Africa, from the students from India. I mean, everyone is here. I just want to thank all of you for making this time. And then, like Anuja said, my challenge to you guys, as I said before, devise something new. Why not? Why not be the Albert Einstein of victimology? Who says it can't be someone from the Indian subcontinent? Why should it always be someone in Europe to be the Albert Einstein? Why can it not be a Mr. Prakashit or a Sean Shiviti or whoever? It's up to you guys to design something new. And I really thank all of you for being here. I hope you found my presentation informative. I found Dr. Anuja's presentation exceptionally informative, and ma'am's talk as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed that as students. And I hope we all could learn from each other, and that we all learn from ourselves a little bit as well. Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you, Jacob, for believing in me and showing such great expectations from me. So now I'd like to call my dear friend and National Secretary, Mr. Yashwant Narayan, to call for the vote of thanks and make it in brief if it's possible, because we've already extended a lot of time.
Sure, Pratikshit, thank you so much for calling me. Good evening. I'm Yashwant Narayan, co-founder and the National Secretary of the Criminological Research and Development Organization India. Today I am here to deliver the vote of thanks. So first of all, thank you again, Pratikshit. And today I would like to first thank our Honorable President, Mr. Rishabh Srivastava, for bringing up this wonderful idea of organizing this webinar series and presiding this webinar, and for guiding us to conduct this webinar series. Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to extend my gratitude to our honorable speakers, Professor Dr. Jacob Berkhuizen, sir, Honorable President of the Criminological Society of Africa, HOD of Criminology and Criminal Justice at University of Limpopo, South Africa, and Anuja Kapoor, Madam, Advocate and Criminal Psychologist, founder of Nirbhaya Ek Shakti. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Madam, for accepting our invitation. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for enlightening us. Thank you for motivating us. Thank you for everything, ma'am and sir. And now I would like to thank our today's third panelist, Dr. Subra Sanyal, Madam, for joining us today and sharing her views on this this dynamic topic. And I'd like to thank again for ma'am for always motivating us and always encouraging us since we have got in touch with ma'am, since ma'am has come to know about us. Ma'am has always supported us and has always showed her interest in us, always have shown her interest to joining our webinar. So thank you very much, Shubhra Madam. And since today it was the last webinar of this webinar series, so I would like to again thank all the speakers of our past webinars, Dr. Asha Srivastava Madam, Mrs. Vinay Sharma Madam, Professor Dr. Michael Pitaro Sir, Sri Radhakant Saxena Sir, Professor Dr. Robert Peacock Sir, Professor Dr. Fernanda Fonseca Rosenberg Madam. Thank you so much everyone for participating in our webinar and enlightening us in their own respective fields. And today I would also like to thank our advisory board members, Dr. K.B.S. Thana Sir, Mrs. Vinay Sharma Madam, Mr. Pavan Surekha Sir. Thank you members for always guiding us and always showing us the right path and the correct path and letting us move ahead. Thank you very much, sir and madam. And also thanks all the participants of the entire webinar series who have participated with us, who have showed the trust in us. Thank you so much. And I hope you all have learned from this webinar series. Thank you very much. And now I like to thank the team of CRDO India, all the members of CRDO India who have worked hard and put all efforts in making this webinar series successful. I'd also like to congratulate them for that we have made our webinar series successful out. And a special thanks to our technical team, Mr. Pranjal Srivastava and Mohit Salvi for the hard work and who have worked day and night to make this webinar series successful. Thank you so much, team members. And last but not the least, on the behalf of CRDO India, I would like to thank our support partner, APA Logistics, for extending the support with us and being with us during this webinar series. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. That's all from my side, Pratiksha. Sorry, I was so quick because there was a lack of time.
Could you please make last comment on the certificates distributed to the attendees?
Sorry?
Could you make the announcement for the certificates for the attendees?
Yeah, sure. It's a request from all the participants that please keep patience as it takes time to make the certificate. So it would take at least 10 days from the day of from today. So we'll soon try to dispatch the certificates to you all. Thank you very much for cooperation. That's all from my side, Pratikshit. Now you can take over.
Thank you everybody for joining us. That's all from us. That's all, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye, Jacob. Bye.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.